I want to check out what's going on in the kitchen behind me. Joe, I can already kind of see that it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so we've got a lot to talk about here in the kitchen. I'll start with this first before we get to the dish. Lucy, how's your family doing with this week of back to school and all that?
Great. The three big kids are all at the same school this year, which is nice. And Jen and I have something in common. Both of our little girls started kindergarten, so we were talking about that last week. And then our youngest is starting back Friday. So that is all great. And it's so fun to see the kids go back to school.
It is. It is a special time, no doubt. So good news there. And then also you have just come up with a very sweet recipe today.
We're so excited for Chelsea and baby Scottie. I told Chelsea last week, I said, all right, I'll make nachos for you. You know, that's her favorite food before you go out with the baby. And then she had her baby. So I thought, all right, well, we'll make Scottie's special strawberry cupcakes today for her sweet new baby. And I wanted to do something pink. So I hope she is doing well at home.
Look at your scissors here. Where did you find these bad boys?
I don't know, man.
We're going to let Mick get a little tight shot.
Mick, this is very important.
Of these scissors here. That's, there you go. Pretty cool. All right, so what do we need to do to make Scottie's cupcakes?
Okay, so we are going to make a strawberry frosting a little bit later, but right now we're just going to get started on the cupcake part. And I'm just taking a shortcut with a boxed cake mix, but I'm gonna kind of flavor it up with some other things. So I have 3 egg whites in here, and then I'm gonna add ½ a cup of vegetable oil, and that's what it calls for on the box. And it calls for a cup of water, but instead of all water, I'm going to do 3/4 cup of water and a 1/4 cup of fresh orange juice.
Nice.
And this is just gonna give the cupcakes a little bit of added flavor, and it goes really well with that strawberry frosting. And I'm also going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract.
I think that sounds like an awesome idea.
I'm glad you like this.
Adding that orange juice into there, that's going to kick up the flavor a notch. That's going to go great idea, Lucy.
Thanks, man. So, we don't want to go too far out of the gate here having to make our own cupcakes. We got to take a little bit of shortcut.
Yeah.
And then whatever size, like I kind of filled up my cupcake tin like a little too high on those, so you can, if you want them really big, then it'll make 12, but if you want them a little bit smaller, it'll make maybe 16 or so. So I'm just gonna whisk this up and pour it in the liners there, and then pop them in the oven.
And I've got a guess that you can find all these ingredients at Greer's.
That is a great guess. And yeah, absolutely. And something I thought too, with kids going back to school, this would be a really easy treat to just whip up, just kind of a little something for them when they come home from school, just a little prize if they have a good week. So
sure,
double duty here for this idea.
And some folks having little neighborhood get-togethers, celebrating the first day of school and all that sort of stuff. A lot of team activities and sports are getting underway. So if you need something to bring to any of those new school year, new activity year get-togethers, this is a great recipe for that as well.
Absolutely.
All right, well, this looks fantastic. I know Chelsea is thrilled if she is watching. She's a little busy right now.
She's a little busy. We don't expect her to be watching live.
But we know she'll see it either live or at some point. So great stuff right here. We'll come back and continue Scottie's strawberry cupcakes with Lucy.
Back in the kitchen right now with Lucy Greer, and we are working on Scottie's strawberry cupcakes. Now with Joe, you talked about how to make the batter, but right now we're focusing on the icing.
We are, and guess what? Chelsea is watching. She texted and she is feeding baby Scottie, and she also said that she loves strawberry cupcakes.
Oh,
Chelsea does,
perfect.
not the baby. Hi, Chelsea. And Johnny's probably there too. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny, and hi, Scottie.
I know. So, yes, the cupcakes are in the oven, so we're going to make the icing. And all I did here is I chopped up some fresh strawberries, a cup of fresh strawberries, and I popped them in the blender and just pureed them. And I just poured them into this little saucepan, and we have it about on medium heat, and we are going to reduce this, and it's going to thicken up, and it's actually going to turn a little bit darker too. And it's going to take about 10 minutes or so. Ooh, sorry, I splashed it. It's going to take about 10 minutes or so. So we want to just kind of keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn, of course. But there's no sugar or anything like that in there. It's just the strawberry puree.
So maybe it smells very strong. Keep an eye on it for me.
Yes. I was making them last night, and we were making supper and doing all these things, and Spiro was like, I think your strawberry stuff. I was like, ah! pull it off, pull it off. So he saved the strawberry last night, so maybe you can save it for me today. And in the meantime, we'll get going on the rest of the buttercream. So I have 2 sticks of softened butter. And you can, you know, just leave it out on the counter for a few hours or pop it in the microwave if you forget to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get this whipped up. And then buttercream is, you know, really easy. It's just the butter and powdered sugar and vanilla. And typically you would put a little bit of milk or heavy cream in there to just thin it out a touch, but we're not going to have to do that because we have the strawberry puree that is going to give it a touch of moisture just to loosen up a little bit. So I'm just going to, you know, as you can see, it's already getting light and fluffy and soft. And I'm also going to add a pinch of salt to that. So when we finish that, we do want it to cool down before we pop it in here because, of course, you know, if we pop it in here hot, it's going to melt all that butter and we'll have a big old mess. So we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, just a pinch of salt, and then I'm going to start with 3 cups of powdered sugar. And the good thing about making icing like this is it's very forgiving. If it gets too thick, you can add a little bit of milk. If it gets too thin, you can add a little bit more powdered sugar. So it's very simple. So I'm just going to put in 3 cups to start with and whip it up. And then we'll just wait for that to reduce, and then we'll pop it in here later. and then if you, don't really make my own icing. Is it something that you need to refrigerate? Hey, good question. You can't, they do not have to be refrigerated. I mean, it does not have to be refrigerated, but you can refrigerate them. Okay. That's a really good question. Yeah, it's so easy to make, and you could do, you know, whatever flavor you like, and of course, you know, if you didn't want to go and do the whole step, you could always buy just some icing that's already done. You could buy white icing, and then you could do this step and mix it in there, and that would be a really good shortcut too.
I was gonna say, can you replace it with other fruit too?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think blueberry would be awesome. Blackberry would be really good, and if the blackberry or the blueberry didn't like blend up as well, you can always strain it too. So my kids are weird on seeds. I don't know if yours is.
Not really, luckily, thank goodness.
So I'm like, okay.
Hopefully it doesn't change.
If there's seeds and anything, you know, so you can strain it if there's too many seeds or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely versatile, and you could just kind of make it your own.
Well, perfect. This already smells absolutely delicious. And so I think when we come back, we're going to go ahead and add the strawberry into the icing and decorate them just a little bit. I mean, the piping on that is absolutely beautiful. We'll have a look at that coming up soon.
So great idea from Lucy this morning. She's making Scottie's strawberry cupcakes in honor of Chelsea's new baby, Scottie. Chelsea texted us the crying face emoji when she figured out what you were doing. So this is a smash hit already.
Yes, she's at home. She's feeding the baby and she's watching the show. So we're so happy for them. So yes, we are making the strawberry cupcakes, and we took a shortcut with a box white cake mix, and we baked the cupcakes off. And now we're just finishing up the icing. So in this bowl, Jen and I reduced some strawberry puree. I just took a couple of fresh strawberries and blended them up in the blender, and I put them in a small saucepan and cooked it down for about 10 or 15 minutes. And as you can see, it thickened up, and I popped it in the freezer so it's nice and cold, and that's what we're going to flavor our buttercream with. So in this bowl, we did the rest of our buttercream icing, 2 sticks of butter. Ended up doing 5 cups of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and now it is just time to add in our strawberry puree, and it's going to turn our pretty pink color.
Pretty in pink.
Yes, pretty
just like the 1980s film.
Oh, wow. That was one of my favorites. And we were talking about A League of Their Own earlier. I love that movie, me and Katie.
Do you agree that Jen Lammers has to watch A League of Their Own?
I think Jen needs to watch it tonight.
Yeah.
And her daughter would love it. Well, I don't know. There are a few. Maybe a few
scenes for 5.
Yeah, no. Don't watch it with her, Jen. Don't watch it with her. Watch it alone.
But in the future, yes. I love that you are actually using real strawberries, and then I also love that you infuse earlier, if you mix it, real orange juice from freshly squeezed oranges into the cake mix. So this is going to have kind of a citrusy and more fresh splash to it than those store-bought cupcakes that are just generic sugary filler type
Yes,
stuff.
this is definitely something that you could, you know, be happy about serving at a baby shower or taking to somebody. And also it'd be really pretty, and I didn't think about it, to do in the little mini ones. The little mini cupcakes would be really, really pretty. And then lastly, if you don't have, of course you can just spread it on there. Every other time in my entire life, I've spread icing with a knife, you know, on the cupcakes, but these were for Scottie. So I whipped out a piping tip, and I just used a big, you know, gallon Ziploc bag, and I mean, I just had one of these, but if you don't have a piping tip, you can grab one for, you know, next to nothing. And then
I don't have a
okay, you don't have a piping tip. Mary might have one you can borrow.
Okay.
And then you just go around when the cupcakes are cooled. And of course you could garnish it with anything you want. Some you know, a sliced strawberry would be really pretty, or some mint or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have one last thing. Do you remember, this was years ago, and when I made those mini pumpkin cupcakes, and our nanny, G, you remember her?
I do.
She's no longer here on earth with us, but she thought it was hysterical because Joe kept eating them on the show, and always she'd be like, Joe loves to eat, Joe loves to eat. And I thought about that earlier today. So these would be really pretty, the small ones. So very, very pretty option.
You can eat one of these, or you can eat 17 mini ones.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Fantastic recipe. You can find it online. Once again, shout out to Chelsea, who's watching at home. Great job. Lucy, thanks so much.
You.
Shop at Greer's, y'all. Lots of great local stuff, lots of great products, including whatever you need to make these. Oh, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Jen.
I didn't cut it right.